And welcome to an episode of the Barrier Report podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Wednesday or Thursday, October 29th, 2020. Thank you guys for joining us for the new episode of the Barrier Report podcast. Whoever thought in 2020 or 2020 we would get an episode of the Barrier Report podcast, but here we are. And I'm not alone. I have Peter Franklin, who's the CEO of Onward Mobility. Peter, how's it going today?
Wonderful, Brad. Thank you very much for having me. Excited about your show and glad to be on here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to start out and I know we've had interviews written up on the site, but just go ahead and just tell us a little bit about Onward Mobility and who you guys are and what brought you into 2020 making a BlackBerry device.
Yeah, wonderful question. So this venture has been a long time in the making. We've been at this for quite some time. We are bringing to market the next BlackBerry smartphone flagship 5G device with a physical keyboard here coming in 2021. We've assembled a hand-picked team of rockstar executives, and we have great partnerships with BlackBerry Limited as well as FIH to deliver a world-class phone.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's again, like I said, 2020 has been one of those crazy years everybody knows. And I think it's been, shocking that we're hearing that you guys are venturing into the BlackBerry world, which is great. We all thought doom and gloom was for BlackBerry and nobody was going to make a new phone anymore. And then here you guys come. So, just tell me a little bit your background with BlackBerry devices itself. What kind of has drawn you to the BlackBerry brand and taking a stab at this venture?
Yeah. Well, I've been a long-time fan of the brand, as well as, of course, many of our executive team, most of our executive team. Obviously, there's been a lot of different devices, and there are a lot. I really like a lot of the features from various devices. Would love to talk about it. But what really resonated with me is, and my fellow co-founder Melody Russell. A year ago, we had this idea of bringing really the world's most secure phone to market, and had such a respect for the BlackBerry brand and what it represents to consumers, and always has, right, without fail, representing privacy and security and a top-notch enterprise experience. And we just thought, wow, what a great match to combine sort of our vision and lay on top the BlackBerry brand there.
Yeah, so you guys have kind of jumped off the bat about saying enterprise is a device and stuff like that. We've kind of heard that language kind of kicked around with BlackBerry devices in the past with TCO and everything like that. But what do you think will bring, what enterprise features do you think will bring to the market? I mean, have you been kind of discussing things with like IT folks, and what do they want in the enterprise field that you feel you can bring with the BlackBerry brand?
Yeah, wonderful question. We've had, just numerous conversations with, CIOs and CISOs out there to really uncover what's important to them. The number one element on their docket is device security, right? And security for their organization. As you see the growing amount of ransomware attacks and all kinds of issues out there, it's really just top of mind for them. And our approach, is different than anyone that's taken this hill before, where we're focusing, from the ground up on security without compromising productivity, right? So you'll have the same exact experiences, of course, the same 3 million Android apps available to you, but from the ground up, and that's really the kernel level, the operating system, even where we're manufactured, taking all of that in consideration to meet the needs of the security conscious consumer. And of course, that will be, enterprise, government, as well as, a growing user base of consumers who are, interested and excited by having, the most secure phone out there.
Yeah, you touched on consumer a little bit. BlackBerry device has always been the enterprise device, but over the years they've quickly become a consumer-friendly device as well because, your mom and pop need to go, they're running their busy life, and the best device for that is a BlackBerry device. So, what do you think? What features are you looking to bring to a BlackBerry device that will speak to the consumer crowd as well as the enterprise crowd? Because we've seen this before in the past, where focus heavily on the enterprise but kind of focus lightly on the consumer side, which doesn't really bring in sales on the consumer side, but What do you think? What are your plans? Kind of focus to bring into the consumer world with the new BlackBerry device?
Yeah, well, out of the box, I think a lot of consumers look for the physical keyboard, right? It's a beloved feature of the BlackBerry phones traditionally. We'll be bringing, of course, our version of that to market, and I think a lot of consumers are excited about that. Beyond that, we do have a lot of novel features to bring to market around software, of course, that will go into more in the future here. And excited to be able to focus on that. My background, of course, being mostly in software my entire career. So excited to really focus on that and innovate in that arena, but also provide the experiences that BlackBerry users are used to around productivity in this single device.
Now, I forgot to mention that not only is Onward going into this, you also have FIH, right? That is, can you tell us a little bit about that partnership between you and FIH?
Yeah, wonderful question. So FIH is a subsidiary of the Foxconn Group, right? Which obviously world's best manufacturer. We have a very tight partnership with them. As you may know, they manufacture the BlackBerry Classic. Really just a tremendous amount of world-class experience on their team, and just in ensuring that their devices will incorporate world-class design and manufacturing process. As we've mentioned, Onward Mobility, right? Our company, our leadership, and our software development, sales, marketing, cybersecurity, so on and so forth, is all based in the U.S. and North America. We do believe that there is a significant demand for a source of origin that is different, from the standard made in mainland China, that has generally dominated the telecom market so far to date. But like kind of the devices ourselves, we're shaping that supply chain story really with security from the foundational level by working with FIH on locations for design and assembly, hopefully in North America as well. So really focusing on again what CIOs and security conscious consumers are focused on here and delivering that.
So, you mentioned keyboard. Obviously, this is going to be a keyboard device. What, aspects of a keyboard are you guys focused? What do you think? What does Onward and FIH think makes a great BlackBerry keyboard?
Yeah. Great question. And there are numerous advantages to having a physical keyboard that we think of, right? So everything from shortcut keys to how it interfaces with the digital device, even the tactility of the keys, right? And the positioning of the device in your hand, and how that feels. A lot of that just can't be duplicated on glass. That experience, it really is a unique satisfying experience to hold in your hand. And Onward Mobility and FIH, we will create together a device that combines that rich experience on Android without sacrificing any of that input experience that you've come to expect and love.
Yeah. I mean, if the keyboard doesn't feel good in your hands, you're not going to enjoy typing on it, and that's the whole purpose of having a keyboard device.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what are like the three top things that would make a great BlackBerry device or smartphone for that matter? What are three things that you guys are just looking to nail at launch this device?
Yeah, to me, we'll have success if we have three key features met, right? Again, I'm going to start with security, right? It's our core principle. It's from the ground up. If and when the CIO of major corporations are saying, look, this has met our bar, we won't stop until that's very much the case. So that's the key kind of message here. But in parallel with that, and just as important is productivity, right? So things like, again, having access to apps, your keyboard, being able to use the phone, a long battery life, a great camera. I would say that's number two is productivity on the list. And number three, and this is why I really truly believe we have a unique goal, is we want to be the number one device that you use and you don't have a reason to grab another device. We want to be the only device in your pocket. And that's a very important goal to myself and the executive team, because that's really what you have to be now to be a top shelf device, right? To be a flagship device, you need to be excellent in all of those categories, and that's why we have such great partners to help us execute. Because you can't miss in one area, because then you won't be the primary device, right? It's as simple as that. So those three items we are 100% focused on nailing, and they will put us in a different league, in my opinion.
So you mentioned the word flagship. So I mean, you guys are coming out swinging for the top devices out there, right? Your goal is to make BlackBerry devices #1 again, and like it was in the heydays. It's not, let's just throw this device into the market at this mid-range level and see if it sells well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Flagship device for sure. We'll be ready to go global with this phone and all the other kind of items that you would expect out of a flagship device. Absolutely.
Now, kind of, talk about your sales approach. We've seen back with TCL, we saw with them, they tried going into the carrier stores and they sell mostly online. And we've seen other manufacturers kind of start this off with like OnePlus. They've done the same thing where they actually start online and they go directly to carrier. Are you looking more for a in-store approach with sales, or are you looking more online only sales approach when it comes to sales channels?
So we certainly will be selling, the new BlackBerry 5G smartphone in a variety of ways, and we do plan to leverage, the extensive distribution channels out there, including absolutely the carriers. As you can see from our executive team, we have a number of executives with experience and relationships deep in the carriers, and we are in discussions with all of the North American carriers. We will announce more details around those relationships as we're further in the process. In general, enterprises and governments have different methods of purchasing, directly from these carriers, resellers, and distributors. And of course, whereas, consumers and small businesses can also purchase online or in the stores, we're focused on making our new phone accessible in all of those places, businesses and consumers may choose to purchase.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach. I think online is fine, but I think if you want to put it smack dab in their face, I mean, they need to see that device, especially with a physical keyboard. I mean, you can go out and buy a touchscreen device online and kind of think, the keyboard's going to be the keyboard, right? But a physical keyboard, that's a personal relationship with that device. And you need to be able to touch those buttons, see how well they press in, how well they press out, how clicky it is. BlackBerry fans are crazy with their keyboards. It's one of those things where the slightest thing in a keyboard will throw you off of your BlackBerry device. So it's really good to hear that you guys are, focusing on a lot with, all types of channels for sales.
No doubt. And being strategically important to the carriers in that manner, right? So, being the only keyboard device, for example, focusing on security, a lot of our software story, that's paramount to this mission as we work with the carriers to get the word out, right, and to target those customers. So it's really a tremendous advantage to be lucky enough to work with them and hear their needs and how we can partner. It's very much a synergistic relationship, and again, just great to be strategically relevant to them.
Now, we kind of haven't mentioned it, but BlackBerry is obviously the kind of other party in this venture, because they're running software side, right? They're mostly running the BlackBerry Protect software Android version that we've kind of seen in other BlackBerry devices before. What's your relationship been with BlackBerry? How's it been, working with them, such a juggernaut company in security?
Yeah, I mean, they are just an incredible force in security, right? One of the world's largest software security companies out there. It's been tremendous to work with them since day one. They've been incredibly supportive of our vision. They're excited to see the next BlackBerry out there, and support us in getting there. And so much of the story now revolves around software, that we just benefit greatly from their existing experience and knowledge in the space, and what we can do on this phone.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, I think BlackBerry has always been kind of itching to get a device out there because that again speaks to their, we're in this crazy world right now where security is such, especially on mobile devices, is such a big topic that I think more and more consumers and enterprises, anybody who has a phone in their hand, is looking at saying what's going on with my information on my device. And I think a BlackBerry device is such a perfect device for this time and era. And it's great to see that you guys are working with them and kind of pushing forward with that direction.
No doubt, no doubt, and the synergy is real, right? Because there's so much that you can do when you have access to the operating system, when you have access to the supply chain. It unlocks all of these security stories that when when you only have software, right, you're not focused on. So we're really excited to tackle these unique security stories that we now have access to in a very user-friendly way, right, as we customize the operating system to provide this great experience.
Yeah, and kind of a tailspin off of the operating system. Unfortunately, we've had other devices coming out in the past with the Key 2 and all the other BlackBerry devices that have come out recently. But if you're a Key 1 or Key 2 owner or Motion user or anybody that's using a BlackBerry Android device, you're kind of stuck right now on someone never updated these devices to a newer OS. And is that something that you guys are kind of something that the big thing for you guys, very important for you guys, like make sure these devices stay up to date with, because a consumer these days doesn't just pick up a phone every year and sometimes use it for a year and get a new phone. Sometimes they hold on to it for 2-3 years. So having those security updates is a big, or not just security update, but the software update. Is that an important factor for you guys?
Yes, I mean the clear answer is yes. It's extremely important for us, and we've put a lot of thought into what that means and maintaining the devices going forward. And we're excited to be working with Google. As you know, Android's been the best-selling operating system worldwide on smartphones since 2011. It's got billions of users, largest install base of any mobile OS, and around 3 million apps. It's great. It's efficient. It's a wonderful foundation for us, and importantly to us, it's easy to customize, right? So Android has invested heavily, in security in this operating system. It's a great foundation, and we're committed to developing the most current, on the most current version of Android, and we'll provide updates, as they become available. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's great to hear. Like I said, I still use a Key 2 today, and it's great device, great keyboard, everything like that. But it's running Android 8, and I'm kind of stuck. Actually, we never really asked you what are you using a BlackBerry device these days, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on a Key 2 as well.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So. One thing I want to know is we've recently seen a current phone come out with lacking some things inside the box. Mm-hmm. So the iPhone recently came out with lacking a few accessories that are well known. Do you plan on going the Apple route, or are you kind of going a different direction? Making sure everybody can get the things in their box that they can use to charge the phone with.
So a charger will certainly be included in our box, and we'll be compatible with third-party chargers as well. Absolutely.
Great. That's great to hear. So also, will we ever see him tying with the movie Onward? I keep wanting to call you guys like the movie Onward and Onward Mobility.
Nothing in the works, but I'll be sure to have to check that out. It looks like a great movie, right? Chris Pratt. I forget who else is in it.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good movie. Definitely.
Yeah.
Check it
All
out.
right, cool. Good theme. It looks like,
So so you guys made an announcement in August 19th. Mm-hmm. You kind of any updates you can kind of give. Everyone's clamoring for things that they can kind of sink their teeth into. I know you can't spill specs or if you can tell us a form factor, go for it. I mean, I have some phones. If you want me to hold them up and just shake your head, yes or no, it's that form factor, and we can do it that way. But, any I know 2021 is kind of a it's a vague time frame, but anything you can kind of give the BlackBerry faithful to kind of get them a little more excited about what's coming.
So what I can share is we've been working tirelessly, the entire team, doing all the right things necessary to deliver this flagship device in 2021. It's a Herculean effort by the team. and we're leaving no stone unturned in the process. So while we can't share any information about future announcements, we can certainly assure you that we'll have quite a bit of news in the coming months here. So stay tuned, and we appreciate your patience for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that, kind of tearing back to the enterprise, we have other enterprises devices out there like iPhones and Samsung with docks. You kind of think this device can compete with, the enterprise level that they'll bring?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's no secret the market is filled with quality phones, but again, what has been lacking is, a device built around security and productivity from the ground up. We're designing this flagship phone with all of the features that consumers as well as enterprises, will value, and anybody who thrives on security and productivity really will benefit from this device. And it will be a pleasure to use, right? Including all of the top line camera and other consumer features as well. So absolutely excited to put out there, and 5G as well. I think we haven't really talked too much about 5G yet, but will certainly be 5G. It's a game changer. Highly reliable, super fast. 10 to 100 times faster than 4G, and that unlocks a lot of experiences for our user base. So, very excited about that. All of those kind of combine to make a wonderful phone.
Yeah, and kind of someone that actually just mentioned this in our chat. So it's always a question I always have. Have you guys been getting any contact with like accessory manufacturers? That's one thing that we've had other BlackBerry devices roll out in the past, but if you go looking for an out-of-box case or go looking for something to put in, not the big name brand accessory manufacturers are putting devices or putting cases or accessories out for it. Are you guys in talks with them at all?
So great question. I can't give you specifics on that, but I can tell you from day one that's been included in our go-to-market plan. Again, if you look at the team, we have extensive relationships with accessory makers. Again, we can't really name names or anything like that, but part of the plan from day one, important to have those accessories, especially with a keyboard device, right? Because we will have such a unique form factor. That will be important for our go-to-market strategy for sure.
Awesome. So last question. I know you're kind of close, cutting on time.
Yeah.
But your favorite BlackBerry device of all time. Any guest that comes on the show, we have to ask that. It's always a slew of questions. What can you tell us actually your first BlackBerry device and your favorite BlackBerry device of all time?
Oh man, those are great questions. Let's see. I love the Passport and the Priv. Were my two favorite. The Passport, I love the width. I love the form factor of kind of the bulk in your hands and how the keys are bigger. The Priv, I did like the smaller form factor as well, and I tussle with myself on which one I prefer. So one of those two would probably be my favorite.
So that's kind of fluctuating the form factor concept with Onward. You guys are going. I see where you're going.
That's all I can say. Yeah.
Well, Peter, I really greatly appreciate you coming on here and spending some time. And we're going to hear something new coming through from you guys, closer as we get closer to 2021. Hopefully we can end the year off with some good BlackBerry news. But we really greatly appreciate you hopping on the show. Thank you really, for one, taking on the venture of BlackBerry devices to make sure this brand stays alive, because I feel this brand needs to stay alive, and people need to have BlackBerry devices out there. But again, thank you for hopping on the show, definitely. And
thank you, Brad, and for everything you do to get our story out there and to keep things going. So really appreciate your time, and look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys. So I'm just gonna hop on here for just a little bit more, answer some of your questions. I know a lot of you guys are pushing to get some form factor stuff inside with me questioning him and stuff like that, but you also have to realize he can't, share details that aren't announced yet. If he's going to share form factor or anything, that's kind of letting the cat in the bag for when they go and announce it. It's not Apple. Apple, lets loose of all their information slowly, or like to leak on the inside, but I'd rather this stuff not leak and not him tell us. I would love to know this stuff. Don't let me know, but we're going to hear a whole much more about the stuff. So I see a ton of you guys are in the chat and on YouTube. Feel free to throw in your points or your loves of what he's kind of putting in, and what you're kind of thinking as far as what he kind of talked about and such. But if you guys have ever read anything that I've written in the past few months about this, I really think that this is such a great venture. This is a company that seems to be hungry for this. They seem to be really excited to bring this device to market. Not just this device market, but they've kind of stated this in other podcasts or interviews that this isn't just going to be one device, hopefully, but they see like this as a whole type of ecosystem that they plan on bringing to the table with the BlackBerry brand at the center of it. So, really great to hear that they're focusing on software. That's been, like I said, I've been using a Key 2 since, it's been my daily driver for a while now. And, the crappy thing about a Key 2 or a Key 1 or a Motion right now is if you use those devices for your daily driver, they're not up to date with the latest software. I have a Pixel 2 here that's running Android 11, and I love Android 11 on my Key 2 because I think that the software would be so much better on the device than Android 8.0. But, I'm glad to see that that's a big form factor or a big, important information that he's that they're pushing for. I definitely feel great about that. Benjamin said he wished he'd give a stronger answer to the consumer market. He kind of, we had a discussion before the show, but they seem really, really, the consumer market is very important to them. I feel, they definitely do care about the consumer side. Again, he mentioned the whole, the camera, the top of line, the flagship device. He's definitely, he kept mentioning flagship device. If we can get a flagship BlackBerry device, everyone's been waiting for that. Everyone's been begging for a flagship BlackBerry device. Personally, I think either way it could go well. I think a flagship BlackBerry device can go great, or it can also tank and not do so well. We've seen, you've seen other devices come out with, the Google Pixels lines, for instance. Google tried with the 4XL. They've been putting flagship specs inside the device. Device in itself to a great device with price a little high, of course, but Pixel 5, everyone's been giving really good reviews about it. It's not the highest end spec processor device. It's got, of course, it's got a great camera to it, but if Onward feels that high end specs are going to be the way to go, I definitely think that this company can make that happen. I didn't kind of question him on price, which I do apologize about that, but he has mentioned that price is an important factor as well. So, and yeah, everyone keeps saying Priv. It's funny. We've actually talked before, and he never actually mentioned the Priv. So that's actually the fact that he's mentioned the Priv again this time. Or mentioned this Priv this time. I feel like Priv might be the direction they might be going because, if you're following me on Instagram, you kind of noticed that I popped this device out the other day, the Priv, and everyone thinks that this is a great form factor. It is, but you lose screen real estate. And the big complaint with the Key 2, their Key 1, is that you lose screen size, right? And what's everyone doing on their phones these days? Watching videos, watching YouTube videos, or whatever. So, if you take away that screen real estate, you have a little less space for that video to look really good on. So if you do a device like the Priv with a slide-out keyboard and a nice big screen, and you put a little bit better specs in it, better camera, better battery life, make sure you can't fry an egg on the back of it, that device could actually sell. And I kind of think the Priv is where this device might go, or Passport. But again, let me know your questions in the comments. I'll stick around for a little bit longer. Junk Food Junction said, love the Z30 speaker. Z30 speaker had some great speaker, or the Z30 had some great speakers on it. Definitely a great device for it. Yeah, Passport or Priv. I'd rather go Passport. I'd rather go Priv, to be honest with you. Priv is the Passport is a great device. Don't get me wrong. Great keyboard on it, but I feel like this sells better. But, this could also sell okay, especially with the way you have the Z folds and the fold up devices. Android can work on Passport now, and that's what everyone's kind of been hoping for. But we'll see. Someone's a bit concerned with companies say flagship devices come with a flagship price. I don't think these guys will have a flagship price to this device. I think they're going to keep it with flagship specs, but keep it at a reasonable price. Yeah, thank you guys Damien. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share the video wherever you're watching it. So greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I think again, I can't speak. I've interviewed a lot of the BlackBerry CEOs. I've talked to Peter, or not Peter. So I've talked to a lot of the BlackBerry CEOs in the past, and I've never talked to John Chen, but I've talked to. I've been in rooms with a lot of. I've been in a room with John Chen, but never talked to them. But I don't think they'll have multiple form factors. I think they have. Well, I'm sure they'll have multiple form factors for later on. But as far as I believe, or as far as I'm aware, they're going to have one form factor for this one device. We're only getting one device at this time, with hopes for more to come down the road. I think your novel software features are things like Locker and I think BlackBerry Hub. That's a definite. I don't think you'll see this device launch without BlackBerry Hub on it. I think Locker was a successful feature that was inside the other BlackBerry devices that you'll get on this device. I think all the security software features were there. You'll get and I don't think that we won't see the speed key come back unless the speed key I think was a great success for TCL and the Key 2. I think it just wasn't marketed very well. If it was marketed a little bit better, or if the device itself was marketed a little bit better, we would, of course, it would sell better, and TCL wouldn't still be making phones. But yeah, everyone's saying about $750 US. I think $699 US is the perfect price for this device, or for a device like this. I think anything above 600 US is not the greatest, but it'll if you want a keyboard, you're going to pay whatever price tag it is, right? Yeah, Dave, I think full BlackBerry launcher, I personally not a great fan of the BlackBerry launcher. Hopefully they tweak it a little bit, make it a little bit better. And I also think that's software too. So like everyone that's been using a BlackBerry launcher, most have been people using it on a Key 2 or Key 1 or Motion, and I've never loaded up the launcher in my Pixel. Kind of interested to see if what it would be like, but yeah. But imagine the BlackBerry launcher with some gestures inside of Android 11, and the speed key and the keyboard shortcuts. That'd be great, right? I also wouldn't mind if they got rid of the launcher, the BlackBerry launcher, and just did a Google launcher. So the BlackBerry launcher features, I don't think that anything is really wrong with anything's missing from the launcher. I think it's just needs to be tweaked, right? I think the launcher, if you're using a Key 2, right? My complaint with the Key 2 launcher or the BlackBerry launcher is it's just sluggish and bogged down, right? It doesn't really have much oomph to it, right? You need to kind of tweak it, and I think part of that is Android 8, and I think the other part of that is just it needs to be optimized a little bit better for also the processor. Keep in mind all the TCL devices had 600 level chipsets in them. If Onward is serious about this flagship stuff and they're going to come out with a decent Qualcomm processor inside of it, who knows what BlackBerry launcher is going to act like, because we've never seen it act like anything else or act like with any other processor, right? Yeah, I don't think they'll scrap the launcher, Damien. I think the launcher will stick around. of course, but the great thing about Android though is you don't have to use the BlackBerry launcher. You kind of have to use it if you want some of the keyboard shortcuts, but you know, but if you don't care about the keyboard shortcuts and you just want to use Nova launcher or the Pixel launcher, you can do that. Yeah, Classic 2, as long as the screen size is big enough. I don't think. Where's my Classic? I don't think this will work anywhere these days. I would love it to work. I would love BB10 gestures inside of Android and the BlackBerry launcher, but I don't think a device this screen size will work. I think this would be a great, like, so Apple just recently announced the 12, right? And they also had the 12 Pro and they had the 12 Mini, right? This would be a great BlackBerry Mini device, right? Not a great just device to launch or come back with. Yeah, I think people have a love-hate relationship with the BlackBerry launcher. I know a lot of people who uninstall it or disable it and use something else, like the Microsoft launcher. Like YT says, the Microsoft launcher is a pretty nice launcher. I still use the BlackBerry launcher. I have issues with it. I just keep it there though. Issues don't really bog me down too much. And yeah, as Damon said, update launcher he's in, but keep in mind that I'm sure BlackBerry Limited hasn't really been pushing too many updates out because of the fact that they had no idea what the future of the BlackBerry devices would be. Now with the BlackBerry devices coming to full swing, I actually think I saw an update to some of the BlackBerry Suite applications the other day. So I think they're gearing that stuff back up again because we're getting ready for a new BlackBerry device. Rico, I don't know if it'll be IPS rated. I think maybe. I know it's difficult, but I know that other BlackBerry knockoff device, I forget what the name of it is, but I know that's IPS rated. So, but that's also got from what I've read, I actually never had that device. I never purchased it or got it sent to me, but the keyboard isn't the greatest. So I wonder if that IPS rating stuff has something to do with that. So yeah, guys, for joining us on the Bear Report podcast. And this isn't going to be just a one show and we're done. I'm looking forward to doing some more shows. And unfortunately, YouTube Brad going to be here. He has some family stuff going on, but he's supposed to be joining us. So hopefully we'll get him back on board or maybe pull Dave Matthews out of YouTube retirement and see if he can join us for I don't think he's ever been on the Bear Report podcast, right, Dave? We might be able to pull you out of the retirement for the podcasting. But yeah, so one thing, I kind of share this with you guys a little bit. The next few shows we're going to do, I'm going to actually start trying to pull you guys into the shows and kind of announcing this here that we're going to do a BlackBerry fan, tell your BlackBerry story concept in on the Bear Report podcast. So stay tuned to Twitter and bearreport.com for more details on that. But kind of getting the ideas of how to keep the show going with not much news. That's why we haven't really been doing any shows. There hasn't been any BlackBerry news until August. So but yeah, stay tuned for that to come through. And yeah, I don't remember if you did one, Dave, or not, but we'll have to get you on to the show. We'll see how you feel about everything. But and let me know how this stuff is all working. We're kind of using a new software here, new setup here, so hopefully this is all coming through fine and you guys can hear me and see me and all that stuff. But we're broadcasting not only to YouTube, we're also broadcasting to our Facebook channel and also our Twitter channel. And we'll also be broadcasting to Twitch soon. So keep an eye on that as well. Yeah, we'll have to actually get Rico on board too. That'd be a cool show. But yeah, we'll definitely be giving you guys a chance to kind of tell your BlackBerry story, your love for BlackBerry, and hopefully we'll get some BlackBerry news out there too. And I don't think there's any other BlackBerry news out there. BlackBerry Limited's been doing some great stuff in the software world and UEM and stuff like that. But any other comments you guys want to throw into there before we end it off? Well, all right, guys. Then thank you all for joining us for the Bear Report podcast. It's been great having you. Great to be back and get great red. What's with the red bullets? Are you talking about these things back here? Those are some foam that I have back here to kind of soundproof this room that I have going on here. it's kind of a work in progress, but kind of have to quiet it down to make sure I'm not making too much noise around me. So hopefully it's working, but that's what those red things are in the back. Yeah, but thank you guys for joining us on the Bear Report podcast. We look forward to seeing you guys hopefully next week and for another great episode. And definitely make sure you go wash your hands, wear your face mask, and stay away from each other. See you guys.